This is Only Horror. If you can hear me, then it's already too late. Let's begin. Every place she suggested for our first date had one thing in common, and I didn't notice it until the third time she asked. I matched with Erin on a Tuesday night after work. Her profile looked normal in the most convincing way possible. No fake-looking photos, no overdone bio, just a woman with a few decent pictures, a line about hating loud bars, and a prompt answer that said she trusted people who returned shopping carts. I'm 29 and work property maintenance for a chain of apartment buildings. I had been on dating apps long enough to know when a conversation felt forced. Ours didn't. She was funny, answered fast, and remembered little details. By the second day, we had moved to texting. She said she worked remote doing insurance billing and lived about half an hour outside town. The only thing that stood out was that she never wanted to talk on the phone. The first time I asked, she said she hated hearing her own voice. The second time, she said she was helping her mom clean a garage. By Friday, I asked if she wanted to meet that weekend. I suggested a coffee place downtown around noon. She said coffee dates felt like interviews, then asked if I knew the overlook off County Route 14 because it was quiet there around sunset. I knew it. A pull-off on a wooded road. No houses, no businesses, no lights after dark. I told her I would rather meet somewhere public first. She replied, "That is public. People go there all the time." I said I still wanted somewhere with actual people around. She backed off, and later that night started texting normally again. The next day I suggested a taco place near the interstate. She asked if I had ever been to Miller's Quarry. That was an abandoned stone quarry outside town where kids used to drink because there was nothing else out there. I wrote, "Not in a long time." She said, "It's pretty at night." That was the first real shift. I asked why every place she picked was in the middle of nowhere. After a long pause, she wrote, "Because I hate crowds." Didn't think that was suspicious. I told her it wasn't suspicious, just not ideal for meeting somebody the first time. An hour later, she sent, "Sorry, my bad. We can do whatever." I showed the messages to my friend Tyler that night. He said she was probably just trying to avoid crowded places. On Monday, she texted first. We talked like normal all day, and by that night, I figured I'd probably overreacted. So I suggested a brewery near the river for Wednesday. She replied almost immediately, "Can we do somewhere quieter?" I said maybe, depending where. She sent a pin for a boat launch near Blackwater Creek. I knew that place too. Bad reception. No nearby houses, long dark road going in. I asked her straight up if she had something against meeting in public. This time she called me paranoid. Not jokingly. Flat. Cold. I said wanting to meet a stranger in public was normal. She wrote wanting privacy is normal too. I stopped answering after that. A few minutes later, she sent one more text. "Hope your elevator building survives the week." I had mentioned that I spent every Thursday at one property because the elevators there always broke. But something about the way she said it bothered me. I blocked her number and unmatched the profile. 2 nights later, I got another match. Different name, different photos, same general vibe. The first message was, "Hey, you seem familiar." I unmatched it immediately. The next morning, another new account matched with me and asked if I ever went out near Blackwater Creek. That was enough. I deleted the app. At work, I told Tyler what was happening, and for the first time he stopped acting like I was overthinking it. He asked if I was even sure Erin was a woman. That honestly had not occurred to me until he said it. I went back through the texts before deleting them and realized how little she had actually said that was specific. No employer, no exact town, no real names. Besides a sister I had no proof existed. Every photo had been close-up or indoors. For about 4 days, nothing happened. Then on Sunday, I drove out to my mom's place for dinner. My sister Leah was there too, so I stayed later than I meant to. It was fully dark by the time I left. As I was backing out of the driveway, a dark SUV rolled slowly past the house. What got my attention was how much it slowed when it passed me. About 10 minutes later, I stopped at a gas station near the highway. The same SUV was at the far pump. When I came out of the store, it was still there. Not fueling, just parked. I drove past slowly enough to check the plate. Mud was smeared over half of it. I drove home a different way anyway. The next day I sat in my truck behind Building C eating lunch like I usually did. Halfway through, I noticed a dark sedan parked near the tree line at the edge of the lot. Someone was sitting behind the wheel. I watched for maybe a minute. Then the sedan backed out and left. A few seconds later, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You eat lunch late." I dropped the phone onto the passenger seat. Another message came through. Too many people there anyway. Then another. Would have picked somewhere quieter. That was the point where this stopped feeling like a weird app conversation and started feeling like someone trying to arrange a place. I took screenshots and called the police from the office. An officer came out, took a report, and told me there was not much they could do yet beyond documenting it. I bought 2 cameras that night. Wednesday, I came out after work and found a folded piece of paper tucked under my windshield wiper. My first name was written on the front. Inside was a printed satellite image of the boat launch at Blackwater Creek. A black X had been drawn over the parking lot. Under it, in block letters, someone had written, "Better for privacy." I felt cold all over. The police came back and photographed the note. My own lot camera had glitched for almost 40 minutes. I packed a bag and stayed at Tyler's that night. Around midnight, we sat at his kitchen table going through every screenshot again. He kept saying whoever this was cared less about me personally than about getting me somewhere specific. Then Tyler stopped on one of the screenshots and said the wording looked familiar. He was right. The same phrasing over and over. Quiet place, better at night, more private. He searched one of the lines from a burner account he still had. We found 2 women in our area whose bios used almost the exact same wording Erin had used. One even had the shopping cart line. I sent one of the screenshots to Leah because I suddenly remembered she had gotten back on dating apps after her divorce. She called me less than 5 minutes later. The second profile had matched with her 3 days earlier. It kept trying to get her to meet at a trailhead outside town. She ignored it because the guy seemed too pushy. Up to that point, I thought I had a stalker. Realizing my sister had matched with one of the same profiles meant this was repeated and planned. The next morning, I took both our phones to the police station. Once they saw the overlap between our screenshots, the note, the unknown number texts, and the repeated push toward isolated places, they finally treated it like more than harassment. 2 days later, an investigator called and asked if I would help with a controlled meet. I said no immediately. Then he explained they had flagged another new account using the same prompt answers and the same pressure to move the date somewhere private. What changed my mind was Leah. All I could think about was one of those profiles catching somebody on the wrong night. Somebody tired, lonely, distracted, embarrassed about seeming rude. So I agreed. Using a fresh profile, the investigators steered the conversation exactly the way they expected. Sure enough, the account tried to move the date from a diner to a scenic turnout on Old Mill Road, where service was unreliable and there were no houses nearby. The police set up around the turnout before dark. I was not there when they made the stop, but I saw the footage later. A van pulled in 10 minutes early and parked facing back toward the road. 2 men were inside. One had multiple prepaid phones on the console. In the back were zip ties, duct tape, and a stack of printed screenshots from dating profiles with handwritten notes under them. Always alone. Night shift. New to area. Kids every other weekend. Leah's name was on one of the pages. Mine was too. There was no Aaron. There never had been. The profile was built from stolen photos, copied bios, and reused prompt answers. They cycled through accounts, then focused on the people who kept replying when the date suggestions started getting strange. The photos they had of me went back farther than I realized. Outside my apartment, at work, leaving my mom's road. I still think about how close I came to agreeing to that first overlook, just to avoid seeming rude. That is the part that bothers me most. Not that they were convincing, that they understood exactly how convincing they needed to be. I do not use dating apps anymore. And anytime somebody says a place sounds nice because it is quiet, I think about how many people probably only realized what was happening because one detail felt wrong a little too late. I should have swiped past it, but I saw the scar on his chin, and my thumb stopped. It was a thin white line under the left side of his mouth from when he went through a windshield at 17. The profile picture was him, or at least a picture of him. Same scar, same stiff smile, same dark jacket I bought him before we broke up. My ex, Daniel, had moved from Ohio to Arizona about 8 months earlier. We had not ended well, but we still had mutual friends. And as far as I knew, he was still there. He also hated dating apps, so seeing his face pop up on my screen at almost midnight, 20 miles from me, felt wrong before I could explain why. At first I thought maybe he had moved back and not told anyone. Then I saw the age was off by a year, and the bio said he loved live music and spontaneous road trips. Daniel hated concerts, and nothing about him was spontaneous. I almost reported it right away. Instead, I clicked. There were 4 photos. 2 I had never seen, one that looked like it was taken at a gas station, and one I knew had been cropped from a family Christmas photo his sister posted years ago. The bio was generic but not lazy. It looked like someone trying hard to seem normal. No job, no school, no social handles. Just Danny, 28, and a line about wanting something real. I stared at it, longer than I should have. I wanted to know who would use his face. So I swiped right. It matched instantly. That was the first thing that made my stomach drop. His first message came less than 20 seconds later. "Hey, I was hoping you'd see this." I told myself it was probably some scammer who copied random pictures and happened to grab someone I knew. But that message did not feel random. It felt aimed at me. I sent niece try. The reply came right away. You recognized me fast. I wrote, "Stop using his pictures or I'm reporting this account." A minute later, it sent back, "Go ahead, I can make another one." I reported the profile and tossed my phone aside. Then it buzzed again. "You still living off Fairview?" Fairview was the street where Daniel and I used to live together. I had not lived there in over a year. Anybody who knew that about me should also know I had moved. I typed, "Who is this?" The typing bubble appeared, disappeared, then came back. "Guess you finally left that place." I blocked the account after that. The next day at work, I kept checking my phone like I expected more. By lunch, I felt stupid for letting it get to me. I told my coworker Melissa about it, and saying it out loud made it sound smaller. Some creep using old photos. A bad joke. Melissa asked if I was going to tell Daniel. I said no, then changed my mind before my shift ended. We had not talked in months, but I still had his number. I sent him a screenshot and wrote, "Is this you?" He did not answer that night. He did not answer the next morning either. By that afternoon, I was less bothered by the fake account than by the fact that Daniel, who never ignored his phone for long, had not responded. I texted his sister Ava because we had always stayed civil. I asked if Daniel was okay. She replied with one word. "Why?" I sent her the screenshot. She called me less than a minute later. Her voice sounded wrong the second I picked up. Tight and flat, like she was trying not to panic. She asked where I got the screenshot. I told her. Then she told me nobody in the family had heard from Daniel in 11 days. I actually sat down on the break room floor when she said that. He had missed his mother's birthday call, which he never did. His landlord in Phoenix had contacted the family because his rent had not been paid and his car was still there. Packages were piling up. Ava said police had done very little because he was an adult and there was no sign of violence. I forwarded her all the messages. I still wanted a clean explanation. A hacked phone, stolen pictures, Daniel off somewhere acting like an idiot. Then that night I got a new match. Different name, different photos, local guy, totally normal profile. The message came right after the match. "You always had a thing for brunettes." I froze. That was something Daniel used to say whenever he caught me staring at some actress on TV. Not a secret exactly, but not something a stranger should open with. I unmatched immediately. 10 minutes later, another account matched with me. This one had one blurry selfie and a bio that said, "Guess you finally left that place." My hands actually started shaking then. I deleted the app. I wish that mattered. Over the next 2 days, I got follow requests from blank Instagram accounts, a friend request on Facebook from someone using only the letter D, and 2 texts from unknown numbers. The first said, "Still at the same job?" The second said, "I liked you better on Fairview." I changed my passwords. I turned off location permissions on everything. I told Melissa and my manager what was going on and had one of them walk me to my car after work. I even called the non-emergency police line, but all I really had were creepy messages and fake accounts. Then Friday night happened. I got home just after 9. I live alone in a second-floor apartment over a locksmith shop. The back stairs are old and loud enough that nobody can come up without you hearing it. I was changing clothes when I heard a car door shut in the alley. Then I heard footsteps on gravel, slow and deliberate, heading toward the back staircase. I stood still and listened. The steps stopped at the bottom. A few seconds later, my phone buzzed on the bed. Unknown number, then again. I checked it. Nice place. Smaller than Fairview. You replaced the curtains. It felt like all the air left the room at once. I turned off the lamp and moved away from the window. I crouched beside my bed and called 911 with one hand while locking my bedroom door with the other. The operator kept asking if I could see the person. I said no, but he was outside. He knew details about my apartment, and he had been harassing me online for days. She told me officers were on the way. Then I heard the first step on the stairs, then another. Slow, unhurried. When the steps reached the landing outside my door, everything went quiet. A shadow moved under the crack at the bottom of my front door. Then somebody knocked. Not hard, just 3 calm taps. A man's voice came through the apartment. "Avery, I just want to talk." It was not Daniel. It was someone trying to sound normal. That was the point where my brain stopped looking for explanations. A stranger was outside my apartment using my name like he knew me. He knocked again. Then he said, "I know you're in there." The operator heard that part and told me officers were close. I remember whispering, "Please hurry," over and over. The man at the door must have heard me because the handle moved just once, like he was testing it. Then harder. Then it stopped. I heard him move away from the door and toward the side window in my living room. A second later, the screen rattled. That window sticks when it opens. The idea that he already knew enough to try it made my skin go cold. I left the bedroom, grabbed a ceramic lamp from the hallway table, and stood where I could see the edge of the living room without being seen from outside. The screen scraped again. Then fingers pushed through the blinds, feeling around for the latch. I hit them with the lamp as hard as I could. There was a real shout then. The fingers disappeared. I heard fast steps on the landing, then pounding down the stairs. A car engine started in the alley right as police sirens cut through the street. The officer searched the building, the alley, and the lot behind it, but he was gone before they got there. All they found was blood on the blinds, a bent screen, and a cheap, prepaid phone in the gravel. They took it as evidence, and 2 days later, a detective called me in. There was almost nothing on the phone. No contacts, almost no search history, just screenshots of dating profiles. Mostly women. A few had notes under them. Lives alone. Late shift. Ground floor. Dog. Then there were the pictures of me. Maybe 8. Me leaving work, carrying groceries, sitting in my car at lunch, one through my kitchen window at night, close enough to see the mug in my hand, and one older photo from outside the duplex on Fairview. Then he showed me a printed photo from the phone. It was Daniel's dating profile picture, the one with the stiff smile and the scar. But this version was wider than the one on the app. Behind the cropped edge, barely visible, was someone's hand gripping Daniel's shoulder, not resting on it, holding him. They still have not found Daniel. They never found the man outside my apartment either. I moved 3 weeks later. New place, new job, new number. I do not use dating apps now. I barely use anything with my face on it. Ava still messages me sometimes when there is an update, which is rare. The worst part is that I do not think I was ever the real target. I think Whoever made that profile used Daniel because he already had him. The account was bait, familiar face, familiar history, an easy way to make me stop and answer. And sometimes when I think about that uncropped photo too long, I wonder how many other women only recognized the man smiling at them. If you enjoyed tonight's video, drop a comment and tell me where you're listening from. And if you want more horror like this, make sure you're subscribed. New stories are coming soon. Until next time, keep the lights on.